Hello and welcome to another episode of Breaking Mayberry, the podcast that listens to you. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, should we sit in silence for a little bit?
Yeah. Here you go. We're just going to take an opportunity
it's your
hey,
time.
Listener, this is your time. Tell Marty and Dan what's up, what's on your mind, and go.
I don't know. That sounds like your fault to me. It sounds like
Listen,
you're in the wrong there.
I'm either very happy for you or sorry that happened. I don't know what.
I think it's on you, bud. I think you got to apologize. Sorry to tell you that.
Yeah, no, that one's your fault.
Yeah. Do we want to do another?
Yeah. One more time. Here we go.
This time we're going to give it some time. We're going to let them really explain their deal.
Yeah, just really. Okay.
Funny stuff. That's a good anecdote.
I'm a little uncomfortable with that one, actually.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
That went in a place I didn't care for.
We're having a good time, the three of us. You're part of this now. Welcome.
That's right. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Marty Schneider.
I'm the other host, Dan Loading. Breaking
and you're our third host.
This show actively encouraging a parasocial relationship.
And you're our third host. This is where you say your name.
Oh my god, we're an episode of fucking Blue's Clues.
All right, I'm Marty Schneider. He's Dan Ludwig. Welcome to Breaking Mayberry, a television podcast about the Andy Griffith Show and Baby Boomer podcast in general. Hey, Dan.
Hey, Marty.
Wedding registries are weird.
Yeah, they are.
Are you encountering this now? Dan and I are both getting married this year. Not to each other, although, you know, Dan, if I was going to pick another person to spend my life with, it would probably not be you. You're probably like fourth or fifth on my list.
Yeah, I was about to say that was about to be awkward. I got Paul ready to go.
I got other friends.
Yeah. You're my best friend. Paul's my boyfriend.
Dan and I are both getting married this year, and I'm going through some weird stuff planning our wedding. Registries don't make sense anymore, right? Like, Sarah and I have been living together for like 5 years, and so I've got all the pots and pans I need.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not only have we been living together for 5 years, but also like every square inch of our apartment is meticulously planned out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm trying to do things like, do I ask for a PlayStation 5 on my wedding registry? Is that tacky?
No, that should
be
the only thing you ask for. So I'm not doing wedding presents. We're doing a not wedding. We're doing the chillest possible form of a wedding, one that
right. You're also doing
planning.
You're also doing like a destination wedding, right? And if you're doing a destination wedding and you're not paying for people to fly out, you can't ask for presents.
No, and it keeps coming up, and we're just kind of like, we're basically holding the line on wedding shit, where we're just like, not this, no gifts, because then it's another thing, and it's another thing if we accept gifts, then people will expect this, and then now we have to buy everybody dinner, and then we're doing a hotel block, and so it's just like, we're like, if we give an inch, the wedding will take a mile.
Right. You can't let anything. We had this same experience.
Not show weakness.
We didn't want to do any of it, right? We didn't want to do a wedding thing. In Pennsylvania, you don't need an officiant, so we were going to skip the whole ceremony part and just kind of marry ourselves. But we said, okay, well, I still want to have a party. Well, if I have a party, that means I have to give a venue. And if I have a venue, I'm probably need food and probably a DJ. And oh, motherfucker, I'm planning a wedding!
It just happens. It's inescapable.
This is just a wedding. What made the call is, and I'll say this on the air, is her dad gave us money for the wedding. But when her dad gives us money, that opens up the guest list to her family, which extends to my family, which means, suddenly this is a bigger thing. Her family's been surprisingly chill about this, though. Like, there hasn't been a whole lot of familial expectations, but going from none to any is annoying, right?
Yeah.
So
the wedding industrial complex gets its due in the end. You can't escape it.
So we have to sit there and kind of do like, okay, what's the like line between wedding and party, right? If I pay for this, is it a party or a wedding? What kind of blurs it, you know? And honestly, what made the decision for us is seating chart.
Yeah.
If I am assigning seats to people, if I am choosing where people go based on like how well I know them or how much I think they know each other, or like whether or not I think they'll hook up at my wedding, like if I'm arranging that level, then it's a wedding. It's not a party.
Yeah.
But it's also like I've never had a party except for like a rent party where I am expecting people to give me money in exchange for this party.
I'm not doing a seating chart. Are you taking a delight in playing God with seating charts? Of just like playing puppeteer and being like, you guys are going to fight. You guys are going to get along. Ooh, maybe if I put them at this table, they'll hook up. Ooh.
See, that's what I said. We're not doing that. We're specifically not doing the seating chart. But, God, that'd be fun, right? Like that's.
It's got to be the best part.
I feel like I've been to a lot of weddings. I've been to a lot of good weddings. I've been to a lot of bad weddings, and I feel like, you know, you do weddings to make your wedding isn't about you, right? The wedding is never about the couple.
Yeah.
The wedding is about making your family happy and spiting your friends. Mm-hmm. That is what it is. Because I have been through so many other people's weddings, and now I'm sitting there going like, guess what, motherfuckers? Your turn. Why am I making you do a speech? Because you have a fear of public speaking, and also, this is the only time in my life when I can force people to say nice things about me.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to do that. The only other time I get to like gather people in a room and make them say nice things about me is when I'm dead.
Yeah.
So someone else I know is planning a wedding and they said they weren't doing speeches. I said, fuck that.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Everybody do a speech. Everybody. Like, even including the 8-year-olds. Make them all do speeches.
Oh, yeah. Everyone's doing a speech. Including you, the listener, right now. Give a speech about Marty now. Thank you. That meant a lot coming from you.
Are they supposed to pause to do these, or are these like blasts?
Just putting them really on the spot.
Just shouting a speech.
He's a great guy. I think that's good enough. I think this is enough of like wedding chat with Marty and Dan. Expect a lot more of that as we as we struggle for introductions.
Yeah. As this slowly consumes more and more of our lives.
Okay, so today's episode of the Andy Griffith Show, we're talking about Season 5, Episode 4, The Education of Ernest T. Bass. Originally airs October 12th, 1964, written by Everett Greenbaum and Jim Fritzl, directed by Alan Rafkin. Mm-hmm. Here's your one-sentence summary from Wikipedia. Ernest T. Bass tries to earn his diploma after his girl calls him illiterate. His antics badly disrupt Helen's classroom. Okay, so this is a Billy Madison episode, right?
It's weird how similar this is to Billy Madison.
Yeah,
this is like a hyper-realistic version of Billy Madison.
And it's very clearly like influence, right? You can even hear a couple of these Ernest T. lines in Sandler's voice.
Yeah.
You know. So here's the thing. That description right there covered, I'm going to say 80% of the episode. The other 20% of this episode revolves around, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, for the second time this season, Oedipal obsession with mother figures.
Yeah! It's so weird. Directed at the same woman.
Sexual desire for mothers, and arousal at discipline. It's the second fucking time this season. We've only done 3 episodes.
It was a weird time for the men of America. Specifically, the wealthy white ones. They were figuring some stuff out. This was kind of the puberty of the rich American male. So, you know, it's just them getting it out of their system. They're just figuring stuff out by torturing this one fictitious woman. As you do.
So this is a Greenbaum Fritzl episode, and they switch off. I've noticed, like sometimes it's Fritzl Greenbaum, sometimes it's Greenbaum Fritzl. This is Greenbaum first, and I've got a feeling Fritzl may have been like, maybe don't put my name on this one, buddy.
Yeah.
like this is definitely Greenbaum working some shit out.
This script came in sticky. There were a lot of dark spots on this thing.
All right. We've teased this out enough. God, it's gross in a way that it doesn't need to be, and it's so
gross.
Weird.
It's doing one whole weird thing, and then in the middle of the weird thing, it just goes like, "What if this was nasty? What if we just made this gross, guys? Do you want to do that? I know we were all having some fun, but like, what if one of us just started jerking off? Would that be cool and funny?"
Look, I know that like sometimes actual Andy Griffith fans listen to this show, and I sometimes we read into things a little too heavily. I know that that's kind of our shtick, is, you know, kind of like hyperbolic, like forcing stuff that isn't there. This is there.
It's
this
explicitly
is very
stated.
much there. So let's go.
Let's get into it.
Let's go into it. Okay, so this episode opens with Andy and Barney hanging out in the jail, talking about lunch. Fucking simulating conversation in this one.
Where should they go to lunch? How do they feel about different lunch specials? Which is like the most accurate portrayal of mundane human life in recent memory.
You've had this conversation with a coworker very recently, like
possibly today.
Like,
and it is kind of great that they. I liked this bit where they're having this extreme mundane conversation, and then suddenly a rock bursts through a window, and it is like 400 guns went off. Like, suddenly it's fucking chaos. A window goes through the rock. Andy says, "You know who that is, don't you?" They run outside. They yell for Ernest T. Bass to get in, and then suddenly there's a great deal of screaming.
Yeah.
And just basically, they just drag him into the building. There's like a 4-minute scuffle where they're all like grappling each other. They basically, there's a really fucking good joke where they take away Ernest T's bag of rocks, and Ernest T is just kind of talking about his love life while Barney repeatedly goes, "What's up with the bag of rocks, man?" Okay, cool, but what is up with the bag of rocks? Still haven't explained the bag of rocks.
It's true. Like, at first I was gonna make fun of this for being yet another boring non-joke conversation, but you're right. It is just like 3 minutes of Andy and Barney waiting for the plot to arrive, and then the plot arrives.
The plot kicks in the front door with 2 Roman candles in each hand, and
arms akimbo with AK-47s, like plot, 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 plot.
Giant rainbow afro on, like, "Who wants some plot, motherfuckers?" Just with a t-shirt cannon strapped to each leg.
So the plot that Ernest T rides a fucking dragon with is Ernest T. If you've never heard our episodes on Ernest T. Bass before, he is he's a goblin man. He's a weird feral child who lives out in the mountains and is basically not fit for human society.
He is a demented little pervert, a demented little rabid goblin pervert from the depths of hell who is semi-homeless. I think it's implied that he has a home, but it's just like an abandoned shack he squats in.
He might have superpowers, at least teleportation.
Yes, yeah, he does appear to be some form of horrible magic.
You cannot hold him.
Yeah, he is a demonic figure. He is both the worst because he is constantly doing reprehensible things, usually to women, and also the best because he comes into the episode and he kicks Andy's fucking teeth in. Every single episode, the decision, the struggle is not to defeat Ernest T. Bass, not even to reason with him. It is to survive Ernest T. Bass. And
to be clear,
usually it fails.
Right. This is like the fourth or fifth time he's appeared, and every single time Andy's approach has always been, all right, let's negotiate with terrorists.
Yeah, more or less. Basically, it starts out with, all right, what if we give Ernest T. Bass 50% of what he wants? All right, what if we give him 100% of what he wants?
Yeah.
All right, what if I just give him my blood on top of everything he wants? I'm out of options here. So
what if we get him to say Sob T Testnery, Sob T Testnery, and then he'll return back to his actual dimension.
Nope, that made a car appear. He has a car now. Oh god, he's mobile. Oh no, saying his name backwards just made him more powerful. Oh, he's Tokyo drifting through a school. Oh shit.
Like this, he's a chaos demon. He comes. Like, sometimes I describe people showing up here as like acting like they came from a different television show. Ernest T came from a different plane of existence.
Yes.
And so when he shows up in Mayberry, like, shit's gonna go down. It's gonna be gross and weird. And Marty and Dan are gonna have a good time. But also, I know we're not. Marty and Dan are not gonna have a good time.
It's basically, I hate to make this comparison. He's basically like a South Park character if they were like, too rapey. That's pretty much what he is coming from.
He's the Joker. He is
the most Joker. This is what it would actually be like. Really fucking annoying. So that's him. So
that's it. That's Ernest T in a nutshell. So in this episode, he comes in and he mentions that his lady friend Ramona, who we saw in the last episode that Ernest T appeared in. Ramona's whole deal is she's like a member of polite society, but like she's also a psychopath hidden underneath that. And Barney being a eugenicist chalks that up to genetics because her grandfather was also a psychopath, I guess. So I guess Ramona would be the Harley Quinn to Ernest T's Joker. The impetus for this is Ernest wanted to get married. Ramona turned him down because she thought that he needed some book learning. He needed an education.
Because
Ernest
is thoroughly illiterate.
Thoroughly illiterate. Not even functionally illiterate. Like, Ernest doesn't know how letters work together. He does not know the alphabet, is what we've seen. All right. Continuity error. Nitpick here. Ernest knows how to write. We know that Ernest knows how to write because he writes notes and then puts him on and then attaches them to rocks and throws them. Otherwise, who's writing those letters for Ernest? Right?
He's got a guy. He's got a weird old man in a cardboard box somewhere writing the notes for him.
Just dictating it. Yeah.
Like an old guy with a long beard and no legs that he pays in nickels to write letters for him.
Yeah. I that's the most reasonable explanation.
Honestly, it is.
So yeah, Ernest T has zero education whatsoever, cannot read, cannot write. He can recognize words based on like context. He can recognize words like no trespassing or no hunting, beware of dog, because he is a hobo, basically, a transient. But he wants to get an education. And Andy's like, well, my girlfriend is a teacher with absolutely no will or authority or a backbone of her own. So I can make this happen, I suppose.
Yeah. So it's basically Andy is like, all right, because Ernest T. Bass's threat is, I will take this bag of rocks and I will keep breaking windows until you teach me how to read and do math. And
right.
But Barney is like, okay, well, this isn't our problem and we should tell him to get out of town. And Andy basically says, well, we have no recourse here. Because
we have no way to stop him.
A great detail is they physically cannot arrest him because he has the magical goblin ability to just leave jail whenever he wants.
Yes.
So their options are basically give him what he wants or kill him.
I also imagine that he's very
how
slippery.
Yes.
And I mean that literally, not figuratively. I feel like it's very hard to hold on to him.
Yeah. I feel like
he's just got like a light sheen of olive oil over him at all times.
I feel like also if they tried to kill him, it just wouldn't work. Like if they shot him in the heart, he would be like, "Oh, I ate 4 dog hearts 3 years ago. I got plenty of them."
He can't be killed by conventional means. We cannot stress how weird this character is.
How weird and all-powerful this character is.
And off-putting.
So it's in a lot of our conversations about Ernest T. Bass, it's gonna sound we like him. We don't. Just gotta be very clear. We disavow Ernest T. Bass.
We don't approve of him or anything he does. We are not fans of Ernest T. This is probably the least objectionable episode that Ernest T. Bass is in. It's probably the one that portrays him as the most human. And it's still pretty fucking bad.
Yeah. So Andy's plan is basically, he's like, all right, I'm going to help him. And yeah, so what you said is he shoves him off on Crump in what is an astronomically bad idea. And the way he pitches it to Helen Crump, his girlfriend, the school teacher, is so half-assed and poorly thought out that he clearly does not believe it's going to work. He's just like, she's like, you want to put a deranged adult in my classroom full of children. That won't work for reasons that outside of this immediate situation would be true. And Andy's argument is like, well, maybe he would be an inspiration to the children. They'd be so inspired to see an adult man trying to better himself. And she's like, that sounds like bullshit. And he's like, yeah, goodbye.
A better argument would be like, he's an inspiration in the way that the DARE program brought in like recovering crackheads, to get me to not do drugs. Or at the very least, like men pretending to be recovering crack addicts. I shouldn't say crackheads. That's not a good term. But like, now that I think about it, that was all. I mean, I know the DARE program was bullshit, right? But I feel like those were actors. I feel like those were guys pretending that they were.
You guys addicts. Got actual crackheads in yours?
I don't think we did. I don't think we did.
We just got shown videos of them.
That's true.
Look at your DARE program with a budget.
No, I never. Hang on a second. Did you also get the video where we watched a cartoon rabbit do heroin?
Yes, it was so horrible.
Do you remember that shit?
Yeah, that was so weird. They showed us how to find a vein on a cartoon rabbit. What the fuck was that?
If anything, that was really training me how to do drugs. Like, if anything, the DARE program made me better at drugs.
Yes. Like, they were like, oh, does this look like fun? And then they had a pink rabbit find a vein and tie himself off. And I was like, no, it didn't seem fun before. You had me at syringe. I was good. I didn't want to do this. You didn't have to show Bugs Bunny, like, shooting up. I'm cool, man. I'm 10.
I mean, it didn't make me want to do this, but, like, just historically, if you want a child to not do something, having a cartoon bunny do it is not the way to do it.
Yeah.
It's not the way to go about that. But also, yeah, I'm 10 years old. I just want to do social studies. Mrs. Roberts is going to teach us about, like, the ancient Egyptians or something today. Nope. No, it's time to have a cop come in. I remember our officer, like, our DARE off very clearly. His name was Officer Quigley. Hey, Officer Quigley, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you, Quigley.
And I remember watching that terrible video of an animated rabbit. And I don't remember what I was supposed to learn from it, but that image has been burned into my fucking retinas forever. All right, so anyway, Ernest T. Bass might be an animated heroin addict rabbit, but the point is, he's not a good example for children. You should not put this man near children.
So I just want to point out, so they're putting an adult man in a classroom with children. I'm not positive that in the time period of the Andy Griffith Show, things like community colleges or adult education programs existed. But if
Absolutely
not, this is a pretty good reason to invent one. That's probably what you should have done instead and be like, well, we got to figure that out. Except I did fucking research it. The GED program was launched in 1942. By the 1950s, initially it was for soldiers returning from war. By this point, it would have been accessible to everybody. Junior colleges have been around even longer than that. Adult education programs have been a staple since the 20s. So there were so many resources that they could have dumped him into. The only excuse would be they're in the fucking South, where there is no municipal government to speak of.
Once again, like any social program whatsoever beyond cops would have made this a lot easier, or at least made it someone else's problem. I don't know. But Dan, the problem you're saying there is, like, with the exception of maybe the adult education programs, because you mentioned the GED, which is for like people who at least have like a basic high school level or junior colleges. These wouldn't work for Ernest T for the same reason that Helen Crump points out, which is, I'm a 5th grade teacher.
Yes,
this man does not know the alphabet. It's not going to work. This man needs to fully Billy Madison this and go all the way back to 1st grade.
Yes.
Yeah. He should be drawing a blue duck.
So instead of doing any sort of robust program whatsoever, what they basically do is turn a room full of children into potential kidnapping victims.
And look, again, we cannot stress this enough. Ernest T has done multiple kidnappings. At least two.
One of he has two moves: throw rocks, kidnap people. It's like that's all he's got in the tank. And you just have so many vulnerable children waiting to be on milk cartons, sitting with him in that room, having a great time.
Yeah, the kids don't really respond to him, which I thought was a missed opportunity, right? The kids are all very polite and charming, and they kind of sit there. Only one child has a line in the classroom, and she's kind of just sits there and smiles and answers the question and waits politely for Ernest T. I'm not saying I wanted more Ernest T interactions with children. I feel like that would have been horrible, but also it seems like there's a missed opportunity there, right? Like, I feel like there's
basically do the plot of Billy Madison.
To do the plot of Billy Madison, but also, like, you know, if they had done this, then obviously the movie Billy Madison would never have existed, and that would have, you know, we would never have had any else of the Sandman's career. Is this funny, Dan? Is it funny? Watching Ernest, it kind of is. I laughed at these. I laughed at Ernest T. The first example is Helen Crump writes a sentence on the blackboard, and it's something like, the possum hid under the rock or something, and she's asking the kids, okay, what's the subject, what's the object? Ernest T. Bass gets really excited, and he goes, I can tell you about possums. I can tell you, we're going to open up that rock and see what's under the possum. We're going to find out what the possum's going to do.
Here's all the ways that you can get a possum out from under a rock. I'm authoritative on this subject, and I'm excited about that.
I'll say it, it's funny. It's funny. It wears out its welcome very quickly. It goes on too long.
It's a really good 3-minute joke that goes on for like 5 minutes.
And that's the whole thing. So he is interrupting everything. He's the next, like, later
basically having weapons grade ADHD, more or less.
Yeah, and he won't sit down. He's disrupting the whole classroom. Later on that night, they get Opie's old 1st grade notebook, like his old 1st grade classroom, and try to teach him a few words, like, you know, do you understand how words work? Which is also kind of funny. I laughed at a lot of this just by myself, and most of it is just Howard Morris. Howard Morris who plays. Howard Morris is so, I don't know what he's doing, but he's really good at it.
He's going, he's basically throwing shit at the wall. He's doing 50 things a minute, and at least 30% of it is hitting. So it's pretty fucking good. He gets into the classroom. Helen Crump is completely unable to teach him. They should have scrapped it 5 fucking seconds in, kick him out of the classroom, call in the state police, burn the town if you have to. This is over. The second he just started screaming about a possum, she should have been like, well, mulligan on this, let's go. Andy actually has, some luck teaching him.
Yes.
They should have just done that. He should have just personally tutored him. That's what worked. He taught him words.
Yeah, and he, like, and this is what I meant when I said earlier, this is probably the most human that we've ever, like, done Ernest T. You know, he's appreciative. He has a line like, you know, when you're a no account like me, you really appreciate it when people do things to you. And you start to feel a little, like, sympathy for Ernest T. a little bit. The way that he delivers most of these things. And God, at a certain point, I'm like, I'm rooting for you, Ernest. I want you to learn some words.
He's so dumb. That's kind of the thing that he is so stupid. And you can understand the way his shitty, like, terrible brain is functioning, where he's basically a feral animal trying to be a human.
Yeah, and all of it, you know, it's working a little bit. I'm starting to feeling for him. And then we get to the next scene. The next day. Ernest.
So he starts popping off because he comes in and he's ready to show off that he knows how to read a single sentence now. And
it's not really a sentence. He just put all of the words he knows together. It's not a sentence, but it's something.
Words he's learned by sight, like keep out of yard, dog will attack, stuff like that.
The success that Andy has is he teaches Ernest that if you remove the ing part from hunting, you get the word hunt. Congratulations, Ernest T. You know a new word. Fine, whatever. You did it, Andy. Good job.
Yeah. So he goes in, and instead, she's teaching math that day. And he starts basically acting up about how he wants to talk about reading. The kids are losing their shit in the background. They are getting decades of material out of this. They are going to be able to talk about this shit into their 30s. Crump is losing.
It's so much better than a heroin addict rabbit.
Yes. God, they're going to talk about this shit at their high school reunion. The ones of them that haven't been carried off into the wood by mountain lunatics. But
gonna be really great material for Opie's podcast.
Crump is rapidly losing authority in the room. She is no longer an authoritative figure in this situation. Another adult has come into the room, called her whole thing bullshit, and won't sit down. It's done. She's screwed. She should move away. It's over. She's lost this classroom.
So she does the one thing that she can do. She has one other option. And she straight up says, look, I'm a teacher. I've never done this to a student. You're a grown man and you're making me do this. Fine. And then she hits him with a ruler. She smacks him with a ruler, gets the chalk from him and says, go sit down. And then he gets rock hard. There's an awakening.
There you can see I'm going to give it to him. He does a great job acting it. He really sells it. Because you can see in his eyes the progression of his dick becoming turgid. Like, you can... It's inescapable. You can basically stop at the exact second mark and be like, and it got to the tip. He's good.
She hits him with the chalk, and his eyes glaze over, and he goes, I love you. Ba-doop-doop. Boop, ba-doop, doop, doop. Cut to a commercial for cigarettes.
So
look, as we say this out loud, I almost canceled tonight's recording session after watching this because I was like, oh shit, we should have somebody on here. We should get a psychologist. We should get like a can we get Timmery back? Can we get Dr. Timmery? This seems all over our wheelhouse. I'm glad we didn't because I don't want to know more about what the fuck is happening. I don't want to know more about the psychology behind this, but we're gonna get into it because it becomes a plot point.
Yes.
Right? So now the plot is once again somebody else has fallen in love with Helen Crump.
And she's
such a fucking catch. I hate
She has the same facial expression from this as she does for Opie falling in love with her, which I can really only describe as I need to get the fuck out of this town. I need to stop living here so urgently. I don't know why that real estate agent can't close on my house. What the fuck?
She always looks like she's trapped. She always looks like She looks like an animal that just arrived at the zoo and doesn't know what the glass barriers are.
Thelma Lou gets into these same situations, and her facial expression is like, oh boy, how am I going to get out of this one? And Crump gets into these situations, and she just gets a 1,000-yard stare, and she's just looking back at all the forks in the road in her life and the choices she made that brought her here to this moment, dealing with this person. It's haunting.
Can I just say this, though?
Yeah.
I hate Helen Crump.
She sucks. She's nothing.
She sucks as a character. She doesn't have anything to do. She and Andy do not have any chemistry whatsoever. I've got a feeling that the only reason she was kept on so long is because the actress Anita Coruscant and Andy Griffith himself were having an affair in real life, which is so weird. They've actually had sex, but they have on screen they have zero chemistry whatsoever, and they never give this character any agency. In this episode, right? It kind of culminates with her saying, all right, well, what we're doing here makes a mockery of me, my profession, the entire Institute of Education. But okay, whatever. She doesn't.
She's not okay, whatever. She's repeatedly told to shut up.
Yeah.
And
then she just kind of goes on with it. This is the one that sticks.
I don't know if I'm reading too much into it, but her overwhelming trait just seems to be, and I'm not saying this facetiously, that she hates her life.
Just a deep, overwhelming sadness.
She seems so sad and miserable and regretful of being here. And we've hated, I think with the exception of the first one, every Andy Griffith love interest to some degree. They've always been nothing to some degree. I think they've been vacant or annoying or rude.
This is the least personality of all of them.
I don't even dislike her. I just want to get her out of here. I want to get her help. I want to raise money to get her a relief effort.
I don't care. I don't care about this woman at all.
I mean, she's not doing a lot to make her own situation better. She does seem to suck kind of as a person, but she hates this so much. And I'm like, are you sure that you did that you guys meant to do this?
I've been listening to our old season 1 episodes, and look, season 1 wasn't perfect. Yeah. Season 1 wasn't perfect, right? But you had the bones of stuff there. You had Eleanor Donahue as Ellie being a foil, having a personality, having admittedly very vague and wishy-washy, but having motivation. There were some weird beginning proto-feminist leanings to it. So you had somebody to stand up and be like, no, Andy, this is the way that we're going to do things now. You had a fucking concept for a show in Ellie.
Yeah.
And they've just slowly taken and just ripped all personality out of not just Ellie, not just the love interest, but every female character. And by every female character, I guess I mean Aunt B.
Yes.
So they've just slowly stripped everything from it. Oh my god! And so I wish that the show had, if the show had continued on the path that season 1 laid out for us, we wouldn't be doing this show. We would have gotten season 2 and be like, this is fine. And then,
yeah, basically, Ellie would have continued to develop, and it would have been a delightful back and forth.
Yeah, and it would have just been a TV show that you and I have no opinion about.
Yes. Instead, it's this, and we're just watching
I hate this so much.
Be sexually harassed by a horny little toad.
So that's what happens. The next scene is literally that horny little toad standing outside of Helen Crump's house, screaming, "I love you! Come out and meet me! Come out and be with me!" Throwing a rock at her window, and Andy's like, "Okay, man, you threw a rock, and I'm gonna arrest you now."
While he hollers outside, he throws him in the back of the car, and Ernest, he hollers out the window like a dog, just that he loves her. And again, she should really I'm not saying she should move, but she should really put her stuff in a suitcase and find somewhere else to stay. He knows where she lives. That's not okay. This is very bad.
Yeah, it's a bad situation. You know what else is a bad situation? Look, I know I always know that anytime I critique the policing in here, I come across as pro cop. But I'm just gonna say, man, if you're gonna have cops in your town, the back windows shouldn't roll down.
Yeah. This is really, I mean, it's hard not to.
Did he lock the door?
Yeah. I don't think it's actually a police car, Marty. I think it's just a car. Like,
it's just a car that
they might have child locks.
They put an alarm on it. It plugs into the cigarette lighter.
It's hard not to be pro cop in the face of a super villain. like Magneto is here. It's just kind of
look, if you want there to be cops at all, these guys are not good at copping.
No, they're horrible. Again, they are a terrible example. It is a woman. A woman is the victim of a violent, dangerous stalker.
Not just a woman, his girlfriend. The sheriff's girlfriend
is the victim of stalking by a violent criminal with a past of kidnapping. And they're just like, oh man, we're out of moves. They put him in a jail cell knowing that he's going to break out. He does in fact break out. This does lead into, I would say, arguably the best joke of the entire show, which is they lock Ernest T. Bass up, and Barney is like, all right, here's what we got to do. I got to take him out behind the jail cell, and I just got to lay a beat down on him.
We've seen him do this before.
Yeah, I just got to beat the living shit out of him, and, that'll straighten him out. We'll send him out of town. And Andy, without missing a beat, just goes, he'd kill ya.
Delivers it completely straight. It's not a joke to him. He just says, he'd kill you. And it becomes a running line, like multiple times. He says, he'd kill you. And
it's funny because he means it, and it is completely accurate. Ernest T. Bass would literally kill him if they fought.
And it's so funny because we've gone through five fucking seasons of coddling Barney's ego, and well, Barn, I don't know if that's a good idea. And this time he's just direct. He's just like, that's how you know he means it. It's like he doesn't beat around the bush. He'll fucking kill you.
Yes.
You would die.
Do not even think of doing that.
You would die.
And I am going to say, they do this joke again. And in an absolute, we need to unfurl a George Bush mission accomplished banner. They did the rule of threes.
They not only do the rule of threes, they not only do the rule of threes, there's a fourth one that comes from Helen. Helen gets a point. Helen gets one.
They figured out that a joke gets funny if you do it in a pattern. They've gone close. They've done the rule of twos several times, and they've been like, this is almost great.
I feel like we come across as pro save the cat almost as much as we come across as pro cop. And again, it's just like, look, we're not saying that all jokes and all scripts have to be written this way, but we are saying they work. And it's kind of fun watching you discover that they work.
Save the cat. Well, I think just being a good writer is preferable to save the cat. Save the cat is preferable to writing in crayon. Save the cat is preferable to just stream of consciousness grievances about your neighbors and people you met on the way to work.
And your weird sexual hangups and how you got turned on by getting slapped around a little bit.
Yeah.
So this is what fucking happens, right? Barney straight up says they have a little conversation, and then Andy goes, "Man, it's weird though. He wasn't into her at all until she hit him with a ruler." And Barney goes, "Oh man, you know what that is? That's a mother figure fixation. That's some Oedipus shit. Sigmund Freud wrote all about this." And I guess the joke is that he mispronounced Sigmund Freud's thing, but like Barney knowing a little bit of psychology has been a recurring gag throughout this entire show. Every once in a while it comes up, like it's just a character mark of him. And he's close on this one. Like, he gets the basic, like, pop cultureized gist of it, I suppose. I don't really know my Freud, but that's what we all kind of think of. Dan?
I flipped through some Freud quotes because I did read him in college, but I haven't retained shit about shit since then. So I was like, does this track at all? And two relevant things I found was Freud saying that the function of love is you are so possessed by lust that it takes away the energy that would normally be devoted towards yourself, towards your narcissistic tendencies. That energy goes towards your sexual affection for another person, which in turn causes you to be more altruistic, which in this case, not fucking true.
Nope.
Not even remotely. Swing and a miss from Freud. He becomes, if anything, worse. Another thing he says, that this is not nearly as relevant, but it is a fun example of, looking at relationships through Freud. One never chooses as an object of love a woman who is unattached, that is, a girl or independent woman, but only one whom another man has some right or possession, whether husband, betrothed, or near friend. In some cases, a given woman can be ignored or even treated with contempt, so long as she belongs to no other man, but instantly becomes the objects of feelings of love as soon as she comes into a relationship with a kind of man described with another man. So basically just women are only hot when they're already in a relationship. Fucking crushing it, Sigmund Freud.
Jesus Christ, Sig going his own way here.
He really is. He has 400 quotes about, like, the only thing holding this world together is love. Love is the purest thing in the entire world. But also, love is only when you want to fuck your friend's wife.
Just a second. I'm going to go over to Reddit and see if there's an r/sigpilled. Jesus Christ, man. All right, so I feel like Sigmund Freud is not the greatest example, to go off of here. And also, I think a lot of Sigmund Freud's theories have been debunked by later psychologists pretty well.
It was pretty much just a guy would come in and be like, "Man, I keep beating my wife," and he would just be like, "Well, that's because you want to fuck your mom," and it'd be like, I think I want to fuck my friend's wife. Well, that's because you want to fuck your mom. Like, it was just kind of his catch-all for, like, I don't have a move here.
And that's what happens here, right? And is the, like, pop culture understanding of Freud. And Barney kind of says, okay, well, it's clearly, like, he's not in love with her. He loves her because of his love for his mother, right? Okay, well, what you weren't planning on is, like, this dude getting horny for his mother, because Andy goes and straight up says, "Hey, man, I'm going to ask you a personal question. When you were growing up, did your mother hit you?" And he looks wistfully, Ernest T looks wistfully off in the distance and goes, "Oh, she hit me all the time. Oh, she was a wonderful woman." Again, you can go and watch this shit if you do not believe me. You can go on Paramount Plus and go watch this shit if you think I'm making it up. By the way, it's kind of funny how long we've been doing this, that the Andy Griffith Show has now passed through 3 different fucking streaming services.
I know.
We started on Netflix and went to Amazon Prime. Now it's on Paramount Plus.
Fucking free again.
Listen, if anybody on Paramount Plus is listening to this, can you just do us a favor and dedicate some server space to the Andy Griffith Show?
It looks like it is being rendered on a Game Boy Color. It looks like dog shit.
It buffers like a fucking QuickTime video, man. It is. Like,
it looks like it is being displayed to me on a light bright.
They move like a child experimenting with stop motion, right? Like
it looks like the flip pages in Captain Underpants. It looks so shitty. Paramount Plus, you're the worst fucking streaming service.
Paramount Plus, man, please dedicate, like, any bandwidth to the Andy Griffith Show. You are CBS. This should be important to you.
Yes.
Okay. Got that grievance out of the way.
So Andy takes this man's psychology, which is being held together with rubber bands and duct tape. And he just basically starts digging around in this guy's brain with a rusty trowel and just being like, let me see if I can rewire this. Maybe if I punch some stuff, this'll just start up and he'll start being a functioning member of society. And then the predictable outcome when he says, well, you don't love Helen Crump, she's your mother figure. he just becomes worse.
Right.
In every way. And I also do want to point out, before this, Ernest T had gone, wait, is she your girlfriend? And Andy is like, we are, yes, seeing each other, as if he's at gunpoint. And Ernest B is like, okay, man, cool, that's cool. She's your girl. I like you and respect you, so I'm not going to try to steal your girl. And Andy's like, all right, well, that didn't solve it enough. So let me...
I mean, he does say, like, I don't want to put you out, Andy, but also, I like her so much. I love her. I can't help myself. So he's like, that doesn't solve it.
At one point, Andy is talking about what the plan is to move forward. And Ernest T. Bass announces, I'm your slave.
Yes.
At which
he
point
calls himself Andy's slave.
And he says it like, I'm your slave. And at that point, I just threw up my hands. I was like, they have to know. They have to know what they're doing, right?
They have to
There's
know.
no way.
They have to know.
It'd be one thing if they just had that in, but that delivery, they know what they're doing. Come on.
Tell you what happened, like, the weekend before this episode was written, Everett Greenbaum got his ass spanked at a Hollywood party on barbiturates. When he was doing barbiturates.
Fritzl, have you heard of these orgies? I attended one, and I must say, it was a delight.
There were some things...
And I came away with so much material.
There were some things
Fritzl,
he was working through.
Why are you not meeting my gaze? Fritzl!
Fritzl, you look at me. You look at me when I'm talking to you.
My cup runneth over with ideas, Fritzl.
And Fritzl's like, yeah, man, I'll look you in the eyes when you take your hand out of your pants.
Fritzl, I've been going to these parties. You must come.
Fritzl,
Fritzl,
I need you to look me in the eyes or else I can't finish. This is what Hollywood has done.
I've had an awakening, Fritzl. Do you remember when we were two fresh-faced boys from Iowa? Come away to the big city. Well, now I've been tied to a cross and whipped, and I must say it was ecstatic. A woman put me on a leash, Fritzl, and I loved it.
Yeah, Greenbaum is going through some shit in this episode. Man. And it shows.
Greenbaum discovered this week that you can pay for sex, and he is having the time of his life. Oh, fuck.
I really hope that, like, whenever we do get, like, actually outed by the Andy Griffith fan community, I hope this is the episode they listen to.
Yeah.
I kind of am tempted to just kind of show up in their like Facebook group and just drop this one in. There you go, guys. Bye.
Bye.
At last, we must reveal ourselves to the Jedi. Like,
Andy Griffith S&M episode. What's up? We just drop a recording into the Two Chairs No Waiting Reddit group or whatever they have.
Oh, it's Facebook. These guys don't know Reddit.
Into the Facebook. And then we go off the grid for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We just like go rent a couple of like hotel rooms in undisclosed locations.
Huh.
And then we just let things blow over.
Seems like something you might do when like both of us are gonna be, you know, away for a little bit, say at a large event that is happening outside of the contiguous United States.
Maybe. Patreon, we raise an angry mob against us.
We gotta hit like at least 150 subs for that.
Before we invite death threats.
Okay, so I got my thing about the Angelus out. I really wanted to talk about that. How does this episode wrap up, Dan?
So Andy basically comes up with the idea of, listen, he's not gonna stop doing any of this. He's gone from shouting outside of her house that he wants to marry her to calling her his mom.
Right.
And following her around and basically doing the exact same thing, but instead of screaming wife, he's screaming mother figure.
Right, right. He's like, a boy needs to help his mother figure. I need to help you carry things, and I need to be under your heels, mommy. God damn it. This is like the most overt, where she like marches up to Andy and she's like, you need to make this stop now. And I think she means get him
prison. Please send him away for the safety of me and the greater community. And instead he's like, all right, I'll do a scheme if you want.
Yeah, I gotta do an old-fashioned Andy Griffith. I'm not even calling this a con. He's just lying.
He's just lying and giving this man everything he wants. And basically what he says is, all right, so he won't stop until he gets an education. So we're just going to give him a test on extremely basic facts about geography and math that I'm going to teach him. And then you're going to give him a diploma that says he has learned something. To which Crump, as you mentioned earlier, basically says, this is a horrible mockery of my career and everything I've dedicated my life towards. To which Andy says, tough shit. Yeah. And
you got a better idea?
Barney is like, this is the most pathetic thing we've ever participated in. And he just goes like, shut up. Both of you, shut the fuck up. Okay? All right? We're out of options. I'm getting my ass kicked here. We just got to do this.
Can I say, even though I don't love how Barney's like whole solution to everything is corporal punishment, even though I don't love that, I got to say, I really like how Barney is so, from minute one, is not on board with any of this and is very clear about it. He's like, we should not be involved in this at all. Come on, man.
I love how this is, Ernest T. Bass's fourth appearance?
Fourth or fifth, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and at this point, Andy is basically completely caught off guard and is on the back foot the entire time. And at this point, he should really have multiple Ernest T. Bass remediation strategies on the books,
right,
rehearsed and ready
to go. There
be
should be a standard operating procedure for this.
They should be doing Ernest T. Bass drills on a monthly basis. They need
to like dress up Floyd in a dirty vest and a paperboy cap and have him throw like foam rocks through the town. Ho, it's me, Ernest T. Oh.
Yeah. And this basically justifies their budget, because they'd be like, all right, we need tranq darts, strong ones. We need like training procedures. They should basically be preparing for this the way like towns in Florida prepare for hurricanes.
They should basically turn Barney into like General Everett Ross hunting down the Incredible Hulk. Like that is how they need to approach this shit.
This should be, Ernest T. Bass should be 60 to 80% of the Mayberry Police Department's budget. It should just be this. So, but no, so they go through with Andy's plan. Helen Crump's eyes are screaming through the entirety of it. She's just like, I did a little dance that shows I can count numbers. And she's like, uh-huh. And like her heart is fucking breaking the entire time. It's horrible. And then they give him his diploma. He does a little speech about how like thankful he is. That is like kind of sweet. He's basically like, oh, I'm nothing. And you guys like were patient with me and believed in me. To which Andy just kind of...
Except now it's gross. Except now it's more like I'm a worm. Oh, yeah. Daddy Andy, I'm a bad boy. I'm a worm. Yeah. You shouldn't be around me. Oh. This is the grossest thing I've ever done on this podcast.
I was going to say, do you remember the other week when I did a sexy voice and you were like, that's horrible, and you made everybody hear that? Well, it's your turn, and yours was so much worse than mine.
I feel really bad about what I just did.
I did late night radio DJ at a call-in show, and you just did that, bro.
I didn't like that at all.
No, and you're not allowed to edit it
out. Absolutely not.
We've been talking about it too long. And then he's gone. And
presumably off to go, like, woo the woman he came here for.
Yes, basically the plan is like, all right, now he has everything he needs to show the woman that he originally loves that he is educated and worthy of her. And then they cut back to the lunch conversation, which the second time around is really the most depressing thing I've ever fucking heard, because it is just such a perfect picture of the mundanity of life, where they're just like, where do you want to eat for lunch, man? You want to eat at the diner? No, I don't want to eat at the fucking diner again. I'm so sick of the diner. All right, well, then the other place we can eat is the pharmacy. Oh, God, I don't want to eat at the pharmacy. I hate the way the food tastes at the pharmacy. Well, we just got to do the diner, man. All right, let's do the fucking diner. That's the conversation.
That's the entire conversation.
It's so sad.
It lets you know that there are only two options in Mayberry, unless they drive out of town to wherever it is that Juanita works.
Yeah, and they hate both of them to varying degrees. Yeah. And then in that, rock through the window, hard cut to black, like a fucking horror movie. Because, of course, that didn't work.
Right.
Because why would it?
Of course it would.
She didn't send him away to get a diploma. She sent him away to learn how to read. He still doesn't actually know how to read. She could have just said, like, okay, well, here's any sentence. Can you read this? And he would have just been like, I know geography. Tap, 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 tap. Ha-cha! And she would have been like, okay, well, bye. So it worked out very predictably, and I'm assuming that they just did this whole thing again
forever,
until death.
This is the second to last appearance of Ernest T, by the way. He's not going to appear at all. We're free of him for the rest of the season, and then he'll appear one more time in season 6.
Oh, he makes his return for the color era.
Yeah. Ratings!
Ratings, Andy meter. Listen, I'm actually going to put it at like an 8.
Me too. That's where I was going with.
It's really fucking funny.
It's a funny episode. It's definitely...
Honestly, the he'd kill you joke is legitimately a great joke.
It's a great joke. Like I said, I like Howard Morris's performance in this. Like,
yeah,
it's, you know, it is the most human that we've seen Ernest T. I liked everything that was going on here. It's just, no, I didn't.
Yeah, no, it was okay. That's kind of the thing. So, okay, Andy meter high, Barney meter also high. It's one of those ones where it's as funny and entertaining as it is morally reprehensible,
or just upsetting, really. Like,
I don't know what you could say in terms of terms of psychic damage,
like long-term lasting damage. I don't know, man. Listen, guys.
Okay, no. Sorry. Let's reframe it. Let's reframe it, because I think there is a case for it. Take a little kid, put him in front of this episode of TV. You think they're coming away a better person? No. That kid's getting worse, either a little or a lot. Depending on how well the concept of love and punishment seeps into their brain. That kid's walking away with a rough idea of S&M, and it's tied to Ernest T. Bast's grinning face.
All right. Here's, for the purposes of this episode and this episode alone, I propose that we replace, using your metric, is this child better or worse? We replace the Fife meter with the rabbit heroin addict meter. On a scale of 1 to rabbit heroin addict, where does this land? I'm going to say it's better than a rabbit heroin addict, but not by much.
I think it...
And now I'm not allowed. Now I'm not allowed to cut the rabbit heroin addict bit from earlier. I was going to cut that and make it Patreon only, but now I can't.
I think it does much more damage than the rabbit heroin addict, because it's basically baby's first guide to psychosexual domination. It's like a little kid watches and just goes like, oh, okay, so I'm supposed to get turned on when a woman hits me. Got it. And that means I should throw things at her house. Okay, cool. So I'm just going to do a quick list of things that are interconnected. Being horny when someone hits me. Got it. Identifying women as my mother. Got it. Stalking. Got it. All right, cool. These things are all interconnected in my young forming brain. Fucking, this is some BTK killer shit. This is fucked. I'm not saying that this is everything you need to make a serial killer, but this is a good start.
I mean, it may not be everything you need, but it's like it's the starter package.
Yeah. It's the first pack of Pokemon cards you get to make a very good deck. You get a Pikachu, a couple of Charmanders, some energy cards, you're on your way.
As always, you can find us on the internet. I'm going to have to stop saying as always. Break Mayberry on Twitter, Breaking Mayberry on Instagram, Breaking Mayberry Fans is our Facebook group. Email us breakingmayberry@gmail.com. Support us with your money dollars to get access to extended episodes, bonus material, make us watch things, etc., etc. Patreon.com/breakingmayberry. Remember, $8 a month gets you everything.
I actually have a plug to do. Our friend Charlie Nash recently started a podcast called Almost Major, where they review movies of mid-sized studios, like Lionsgate. One of their movies is The Punisher, a movie that we love.
We love this movie, and Charlie does not.
Charlie, they rip it to shreds. It makes them very unhappy. So, if you want to get like the other side of the opinion, their Dogma episode is also pretty great.
All right, so check that out. We'll link that below. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm not gonna say it was fun, but this was an episode. We'll see you all next time down at the fishing hole. Ba-da-dum,